welcome to the Blue Sofa. Today we are gonna start a new series. So I have planned a series for you, recorded it, and it's ready to go, so to speak. So over the next couple of weeks, I will present to you a series on transformational leadership. And I am actually beyond excited to share this with you, because transformational leadership is that concept that covers what we will call the inner work. It covers personal development in business, mindset, growth, like the inner growth, and so many other things we say that can be a little bit fluffy, like you have to step up to your next level, or you have to take your own authority back. All those things are transformational leadership. So transformational leadership is actually a scientific study, and it's a concept that is widely recognized and has been studied for years. And we have a lot of very competent people who've been diving into studying, researching this topic. So we have tons of knowledge that I can share with you today in this podcast and the podcast series that's actually going to help you grow your business by diving into transformational leadership. So transformational leadership is not about being inspiring. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with stepping into your own power. And it's not about motivation. It can be applied to anyone who lead anything, basically. But this is about understanding why businesses grow to a certain level and then stop, and understand why this is happening despite we have tons of access to knowledge. What I have observed over the last 14 years is that when we stall in business, it's not about strategy. And it's not because we haven't been working. It's not because we didn't do anything. And it's also not because we're not talented, capable, passionate. But it's because there is some kind of block inside of us. And when you look at transformational leadership, what that teaches us is that there's a version of us who has built that level. And that version is not the version that can build the next level. So transformational leadership is the study of how leaders evolve and why growth in business require growth in identity and leadership. And this is actually, when I went to university, this was what I studied. And now I'm just taking it back and giving it to you in a format where you can use the theories and apply them to your business. So, if you ever wondered, what is stopping me? I know what to do. Why am I not moving forward? Then I really think this series is gonna help you a lot, and even give you some tools that you can use to actually start growing again. So you're probably really passionate about what you do, right? And because of that, you have something you really desire to bring to the world. You learned all the things needed to bring this thing to the world. Like you learned marketing, you learned to understand what make irresistible offers, what make amazing products. You probably invested a lot in your business. Maybe you even grew a team. Maybe you even created automations or got interested in new innovative way to get your product to more people, right? So you have grown a lot. But maybe you also experienced that you hit a level where everything started to become difficult and more heavy, and your capability to make decisions kind of stalled, or you felt it was difficult to make the decision and commitment to the next level, or you felt visibility was very vulnerable, or you felt more exposed. Maybe money feels more charged in some capacity. You feel the burden of responsibility, and suddenly, no matter how much strategy you add, you just don't move. And what we do here is we try to grab for the things we know. Right? We tweak, we refine, we plan, but still there's no expansion. And that's because what we are looking at is not a strategy problem. And I know I said this many, many times in this podcast, And it's because I think it's so important to understand that at some point, knowledge is just not the way to go forward. And at some point, if we can solve things with more knowledge, we should definitely do it. But at one point in the future, what you will probably experience is that even more strategy, even more theory, even more information, even more inspiration doesn't do it for you. And it's because you reach what is called a leadership threshold. So I think this is the thing we don't talk a lot about. And that is, your business will grow to the level of leadership you can hold. And every level of revenue, visibility, responsibility requires a different internal structure within you. And when your internal leadership doesn't evolve, then your growth stalls. And it's not because you're incapable, and also not because the market isn't there, or you're doing something wrong, or you lost your touch, It's actually because your current identity is protecting you. So transformational leadership helps us grow in every stage of business, which is why it is so exciting to learn about transformational leadership, but also implement it in your business and probably also in your team if you're running a team. Because what happens in a business, if we look at it, every state of business, 4 things will increase. And that is complexity, visibility, responsibility, and pressure. 4 things will increase. And if our internal structure, our internal leadership doesn't increase with it, like we don't transform through each state of our business, then we don't have the capacity to grow our business. So what happens is that the pressure starts to feel real, right? And this is where we get shown what needs to be transformed. Under pressure, what happens often is that we don't operate from our vision. We operate from our current capacity, our current developmental capacity. So what happens is that we might start to overthink decisions that we use to make really quickly, or we delay launches, or we delay product development, even though we know we are ready to do it and the products are ready, right? We avoid scaling because it feels very overwhelming. And we stay in this refinement phase instead of actually going to expansion. And then we tell ourselves, it's because I just need more confidence. I need a better system. I need a better product. I need, eyes on my offers. And all of that can be valid things, but it can also be simply because the next level of your business actually require a different kind of leadership and requires, it wants you to develop, right? So transformational leadership is about increasing that development, increasing your development as a leader. And what it does is it helps you grow your ability to hold complexity without shutting down, to make decisions without constant validation, and to tolerate visibility and expression without collapsing or stopping yourself, and to start leading long term and in this emerging edge of creation instead of reacting to short term threats, basically. If you run a business, if you are the CEO of a business, if you're a founder, whatever the label is that you brand yourself with, this is extremely important because many of us are trained to adapt, to be relational, to be responsive, and not to expand authority. So when your business demands that you are in your own authority, it can feel really, really unsafe. And what our brain imprinted and what our brain analyzes that as is, I'm stuck. But when we look at this from a transformational leadership perspective, we understand we're actually not stuck. We just reached the edge of our current leadership identity. So what I want to explore in this series is how we develop through the different stages of complexity in our business. And I want to give you solid theory. Like this is science-based theory I want to give to you. I want to talk about, in episode 3, I want to talk about why we unconsciously block our own growth. And again, I want to give you solid theory behind this. It's not fluff. This is not something I came up with, or this is not something I learned in a self-development course. This is actually academia, like real solid research. Also, I want to talk about the difference between transactional leadership and transformational leadership in episode 4. And this is where we dive into like, how do you shift from being more short-term oriented to actually lead a movement, like make an impact. This is the real secret behind that. And then the last episode, I want to dive into how to lead from your vision, from the future, instead of keep on reacting to the past. And this is extremely powerful if you want to grow. And if you want to be that innovative leader in your business that really bring newness and aliveness into the market. Honestly, I think whoever you are, this should be a priority. The method I'm going to talk about is going to help you really dig into your own genius and dig into like that authentic genius that is inside of you that sends the future instead of reacting to the past. So this is an introduction, of course, and then we're going to have 4 extra teachings in this series. And what is going to help you is really learn about what is transformational leadership and how do you use it in your business so your business can grow and your strategy actually works because your internal leadership is developed and your next level leadership will be locked in, and you have the tools and the language to look for the right coaches, helpers, consultants, knowledge within this field to help you dive into your transformational leadership and grow to the next level. So what I want to like end this episode on today is a reflection actually. So if your business have like kind of hit a ceiling, a glass ceiling, we could call it that, and no amount of strategy or work seems to make that glass ceiling break, what if you just engaged in the idea for just through the next 4 weeks as we go through this series that this is not an external problem, that this can be fixed internal? What if you allowed yourself to really work on your transformational leadership to solve this problem instead of looking for new strategies? And if this is a question you are willing to reflect on and like look at and contemplate on, then you're gonna get a lot out of the next 4 episodes. I know that I can't wait to present this to you. I am beyond excited. I think this is some of the most powerful work that I put together for you in the podcast so far. I will see you in the next episode. And until then, if you want to share anything with me or if you are excited about this series as well, then go ahead and share on your social media platforms that this is a series that exists. I think a lot of people would benefit from it. And shoot me a DM. Let me know what you are excited about. I'm always happy to hear from you and to chat with you behind the scenes on my Instagram. So have an absolutely stunning day, and I will see you next week in the next episode where we're going to talk about how we develop through stages of complexity and how that actually helps us to develop into the next level of leadership that is needed for our business to grow.